Call the meeting to order. First of all, we have invocation by Reverend Slaughter and pledge of allegiance by Mr. Pilgrim.
Let us pray. Father God, we come again once to you in your presence of these people, Lord God, to pray a blessing upon this gathering, this coming together, that we might come together with one accord. Lord God, in this time, in this season that our nation and our county and our country, our state, our city finds ourselves, Lord God, we know that you rule upon all of it, because in your word you said you sit high on the realm of the universe and you look low. And so, God, this evening we pray that you would look down upon your people who are gathered here, that they might be of one mind, one body, one spirit. Those who are on the agenda, Lord God, that their voices might be heard. And those who are in leadership might be able to be considerate in their decisions and their thoughts towards your people. God, pray now the anointing of your Holy Spirit would fall fresh in this place, and you will have your way and you will govern, as you said, that the governments would sit upon the shoulders of your Son, Jesus. God, we pray it today, God, and your blessings upon it. It is in Christ Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 is the citizens forum. Person desiring to address the city council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for citizens forum. Citizen forum is now open.
My name is Jay Hodge. I'm at 3070 Aspen Drive. I'm here tonight to voice my concern about the lack of rules and parliamentary procedures used in conducting our city council meetings, as well as the election of mayor, boards, and commissions. I understand the parish charter does not specify that the council use Robert's Rule of Order, but we should at least have a parliamentary procedure, rules, or bylaws to govern how the meetings are to be conducted in a fair and democratic manner. The rules can be simple and not burdensome, but still preserve the integrity of the democratic process while conducting a council meeting. Examples of the basic rules could be, number 1, the mayor preside over the meeting but does not make motions or second motions. Number 2, the mayor calls for discussion after the motion and before the vote. Or lastly, number 3, the mayor conducts elections of mayor, mayor pro tem, boards, and commissions using the rules outlined in the Robert's Rule of Order. These rules should be put into place so all citizens can be heard through their council person. When one council person is not heard, then 1/7 of our city is not being represented in the democratic process of governing our city. I urge the council to set guidelines or rules for conducting all meetings. I would like for those in the audience that have come tonight with this common concern to stand and be recognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Godwin,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hughes, council
Yes, ma'am.
members. My name is Louise Haygood, and I live at 556 Fitzhugh. Several weeks ago, when the new council was convened, a very strange thing happened. The Parish News said it best, and I quote, In 1.5 minutes, a mayor and mayor pro tem were elected, and only one nomination was made, unquote. Those of us who were here that evening looked at each other and said, "What on earth just happened?" The presiding officer did not accept other nominations and even seconded his own nomination. Nominations do not require a second, but an opportunity for other names to be put in consideration is an absolute must. Perhaps the city attorney can help you with procedures by using Robert's Rules of Orders, recognized everywhere as the standard. Mr. Chinato, Mrs. Portugal, and Dr. Clifford, if he were here, were all students of mine, and they may recall in American history there was a time in the early 1900s when candidates were selected in a smoke-filled back room. And while the action taken that night was obviously not made in a smoke-filled room, it reeked of collusion. Shakespeare's work, Hamlet, is oft quoted as saying, "Something is rotten in Denmark." The citizens who elected you and expect you to operate in an open mind, keeping what is fair and best for the city of Paris. I urge you, as I think Mr. Pilgrim was quoted in the Paris News, to move on and to do the very best you can without any thoughts or suggestion of further collusion. Thank you.
Could you sign the paper for me, ma'am?
The person before me didn't sign. Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is, excuse me, my name is Carolyn Williams. And I'd like to say, first of all, thank y'all very much for, I was here 3 weeks and I spoke up on the cleaning on the lots, and it has made a great improvement. I can see this through the stop signs and railroad signs and everything else. But I got another problem. I keep getting notations on to keep my lots mowed, and I feel like my lots look a whole lot better than some of these other lots. And when I call to talk to Dana and Nikki about mowing lots, they always say they only have 6 people to mow the lots. They don't have enough funds to keep every lot clean. But on the northwest side of town, the grass is grown over the railroad track and it's almost as tall as some people's houses. I don't know how they make their decision on who lot should be clean and who lot shouldn't be clean, but I think it should be an equal thing, that one rule should apply for everybody. Another thing is that I just can't see when they keep talking about they shorthanded, they only have 6 people to do it, and they spend their time out in the field. Paris is not that big. You should know whose lot is who deceased, who's this, and when it should be mowed. And then the vines and stuff that are growing all up the telephone pole, all over the wires and stuff like that, I feel like they should be should be mowed and then sprayed where it won't grow like that no more. And I don't see where, well, that should cost a whole lot of money. And then also in getting involved in buying lots, I found out the city of Paris owned lots and the taxes on them hadn't been paid in over 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. we have anyone else for the citizen forum? All right, citizen forum is now closed. Move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items want to be pulled, or I'll entertain any motion on the consent agenda? You have one?
I'll make a motion to accept this consent agenda.
We got a motion. Second? All right, consent agenda is now closed. Move on to take a vote. Oh, vote.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Vote. All in favor? No. All right, thank you.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes, ma'am.
I would request that we move item 15 up to above item 10, because we have so many people in the audience who are interested in that item.
Yeah, that's fine, man. We'll do that then.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, item number 15, discuss and act on a procedure appointing of individuals to serve as council officers and to serve on city council appointed boards, committees, and commissions, and clarifying the selection process of boards and commissions for 2018 year. This is an item that Mr. Pilgrim put on, so I'll let him go first.
Through our last city council meeting up until now, I've had several calls from citizens of Paris in both District 6 and several other districts, really concerned on our processes and procedures about nominating. And we have 3 options that we're looking at that Mr. Godwin put together for us as options that we could look at. In my opinion, I think Robert's Rules of Order are probably more than sufficient. The main concern that we had was in the past, we've had some of the videos, and all are different. We'll take nominations sometimes for up to 3 or 4 people for a position, and then we'll vote accordingly. In my opinion, I think we should look at putting those in a nomination. Everybody gets their nomination. All the different districts get to pull their nomination for whichever board or committee that we're appointing for, as well as mayor and mayor pro tem. And then I think in sort of good faith, we should pick out of a hat to see who gets voted on first. Typically, in recent history, we've had the first one to get in usually gets voted in. Is kind of what's happened in the past sometimes. I think that should be something we should discuss. On another note, this is a big deal for the city of Paris. We vote on a lot of money. We vote on things that control a lot of employees in this city, and not to mention the 25,000 citizens or 24,000 citizens of Paris, Texas. We have a due diligence, and we have not followed that. And I think this will set precedents for the next council down the road. And we've got to have a procedure. I'm not saying my opinion of a procedure is correct, but I think we can all agree that doing it one way one year and doing it another way another year, especially if you have a council that's split or if you have a council that agrees on everything, it's still, the procedure needs to be followed. And I think our budget last year was $24 million. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of taxpayers' money. And they're looking at us to lead the community and lead the city and do the right thing. And I think the only way to do that is we have a written procedure, and we do it based upon the right person, the right thing, and at the right time. And in the past, we've rather not done that. So that's my comment.
Anyone else? Ms. Portugal?
Well, I think there's concern that our charter lacks a procedure, and I really question why the council in the last year that I was on it, our manager, our city attorney, no one brought that to our attention that we needed to adopt a procedure. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. Robert's Rules of Order is universally used, and I think our council's bright enough to learn Robert's rules if they don't know it. Seventh grade FFA students know how to run a meeting according to Robert's rules. And so I think that we would all be able to, if we don't know them now, we'll learn them. It's important. And I think there's some real flaws in some of these methods that Mr. Godwin brought forward, particularly where you have to vote. You have two candidates you like, but you have to vote yes on one and no on another. And I don't think that's acceptable. That's option number 3. I think all of these are lacking some. We don't have to accept Robert's rules completely. We could edit those plans.
Anyone else?
We've had,
Go ahead. You got something to
we've had this going on for a while, the rules, how we elect people, but this kind of sounds like sour grapes to me, okay? And that's all I'll say on that subject, But Steve was elected mayor. I know a lot of people don't like it, but that's the way it was voted. And it's probably still be 4-3. That's it.
Well, I don't think they're asking to rescind last meeting's election, but I would be in favor of coming up with some streamlined method so that we don't have this kind of confusion, in the future.
Yeah, I agree with her. That's a great idea. Let's put it all on paper so everybody will know. We got these commissions coming up too, the people on that we need, so they can know also what's happening.
Ms. Stone?
Yeah, I agree that we do need some type of policy and procedure put in place so that, our citizens who we represent are not confused, and to make sure that everything's done fair.
And I spoke with Mayor Clifford about it, and he's in agreement with all of us that something needs to be put down, factual, that we all need to go by. I know the way the mayor election was done, by the rules in place, it was legal, but as far as making a mistake, he might have, but to correct it, we do need to, I agree with Mr. Pilgrim, put something more factual down on paper so the council and future councils will have a legitimate way of doing things, so it won't be any confusion or coercion by anyone of the members. So, does anybody right now have, I know we're talking about Robert's rule, but does anybody have, she was saying, Ms. Portugal was saying, we don't have to follow it verbatim, but does anybody have something down that, it says take a vote, that, are we ready to take a vote on something now, or we want to?
In my opinion, I think this needs to be discussed further. I think,
Yes.
however, to change, you're going to change the charter.
Well, to change the charter, we would have to have an election. What we do have is an ordinance that is, I think it's section 2.1 of the Code of Ordinances, that's just some very basic rules of order for council meetings, and something could be put in that.
That's, whichever way we think is the most efficient for the city to
Or
handle.
you could just adopt a procedure. You don't necessarily have
Adopt
to
a procedure.
incorporate it into the.
In my opinion, I think it's something we need to discuss. I think we need to clarify exactly how we're going to elect our commissions and boards. I believe we do that at the next meeting in 2 weeks from today. Is that correct?
That's the schedule.
Okay,
The
so,
second meeting of June.
and, the fair way to do it would be, we pull all the nominations, if I nominate A and she nominates B and C and D, and we have 5 people nominated for one board, and then in order to fairly vote on that individual candidate, I think that candidate needs to be pulled out of a hat. It needs to be A, B, C, and D, and then we pull out of and see who votes on first, and then it needs to be the city council needs to vote them on. Is that correct? Can we do that?
You can do that, yes, sir. The only downside to that is that somebody could get elected with 2 votes out of 7, for example, when you're talking about boards and commissions. The information that I included here was something I'd prepared for the last 2 mayors in a row, and we talked about the same thing, but didn't take any action in either case. And as I said in here, there's pluses and minuses to each of these. These are just 3 ways I've seen it done in other cities. The first one works the best because you can't get elected with, like you say, if you have 5 different people nominated, chances are the 5 people that nominated them are going to vote for them. So somebody's going to get put on a P&Z or a PEDC with just 2 or 3 votes. And that's that number one. It sounds cumbersome and crazy to have people vote 2 or 3 or 4 times, but it actually works for that very reason. Somebody's going to get a majority of votes that way. It's not perfect, and as I've said, there's some shortcomings to that too. So I'm not a proponent of that necessarily. That's just the better of the 3 that what I've seen. And this was just for boards and commissions. This wasn't about election of the mayor. So that's a different kind of a thing there because there's only one of those every time instead of 2 or 3 or 4 people that you may have with boards. So longer answer than you meant, but needed. But that's the.
What if we took the language from the Roberts Rules on nominating and voting in, just the language from that portion of it? We know Roberts Rules works. Works from everywhere from FFA to it's procedures in a lot of cities, and we take that portion of that language and use that as our procedure for nominating and electing boards.
You certainly can. It is, in my opinion, cumbersome when you're appointing 12 boards in one night and maybe 40 people at one night, but you can do that. That's why a lot of cities kind of have done a variation of that. And these are just 3 of probably 100 variations out there. It certainly strikes me as the best way to do your mayoral election and mayor pro tem election for sure. And it's an established, workable procedure, and you can do it with the other ones too.
I think the mayor and mayor pro tem election definitely needs to be Robert's Rules of Order, that language used in a procedure where we're not having to rewrite a charter and reinvent the wheel. Robert's Rules that's pretty simple and down the road, and it's
long established.
Used. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And if you excuse me again, if you want to discuss it in more detail with the boards and commissions, we can delay those appointments. You want to have, if you're going to do this, and I believe you're going to, you want to do it before you appoint the next group. So if you want to talk about it some more at another meeting, or more, if you got enough time tonight, or whatever, enough ideas yet to adopt tonight, we did post it as an action item in case you wanted to. But we can put those off. It's not unusual that we don't appoint boards and commissions until July. People who are on boards and commissions, they serve until they resign or until they're replaced. So they'll still be in office. They don't leave office until they're replaced. If you want to push that off until July for some reason, that's an option you have. Not recommending it, but it's an option you have.
I think we need to go ahead and appoint the boards, in my opinion. And I think if we can just make a simple rule that we're gonna hear all nominations before we vote, and then call a motion to vote on an individual, I think would probably be the best on the horizon for the next meeting. And then I think we should also have the procedure put in a later meeting and vote on that as a council.
Okay.
So I make a motion to hear all nominations for the council committee boards for the next meeting, and we have to hear all nominations, and then we vote individually on each one through I think a majority vote. And that fills all the different positions just on the next meeting, just to get us through there. So there's no question on what we're doing. And I make that motion if I can get a second.
I second that.
I don't mean to be obtuse, but to clarify, when you say vote on each one of them, do you mean each
So
of
if
you
we
would
get,
vote on
if
each
we
one
get,
of them, or
let's say we're going for planning and zoning, and we have, is there 2 spots open for planning and zoning? So we have 5 nominations, A, B, C, D, and E, and then we put them in a hat, we mix them up, we pull out whoever is first, and if B comes out first, and then we vote, we say yes or no to.
okay, so a yes, no on each one.
I think so. I think it's going to take some time on this next meeting until we figure out a procedure that works efficiently for us. And we're not going to be able to get it done tonight, but we know we got an issue there and we need to get it done. And I don't think it's an overnight process, but to clarify where we are now, I think that's only fair and just way to exercise the council.
My question, who would pull the order? Do we need to say?
Oh, I think that probably the
Janice.
city secretary,
Yes,
city
okay.
clerk, yeah.
That's
Fine.
what
I mean,
yes.
yeah.
I just want to make sure that's in there.
Thank you.
So let's, he made a motion with the corrections of, and Janice Pulling, and then Ms. Portugal or Ms. Stone seconded. All in favor? All opposed? All righty. Now, number 10, conduct a public hearing on the Texas CDBG Dixon Orange Street project for grant closeout. And there she is. How you doing?
Hi. So the city received a grant through the CDBG program for utility and paving improvements on Dixon Street and some sewer improvements on Orange. The project is all complete, and the only thing left is to close out the grant. But before we can do that, we have to conduct a public hearing to receive any feedback from the public. And so I recommend that you open the public hearing.
Public hearing is now open. No one? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Number 11, conduct a public hearing to receive, comment about a proposal hazardous cargo route for number, yes.
Okay,
You
so
again.
the city is proposing to designate Loop 286 as our hazardous cargo route for through trucks that are carrying cargo that could be hazardous to our community. This will basically keep everybody outside of the middle of town with toxic materials, explosives, gases, anything that would cause a catastrophe should a truck roll over or something like that happen. TxDOT and FHWA has a process by which we have to follow before that designation can be made, and we're in the early steps of that. The first step is to notify jurisdictions within a 25-mile radius, and we've sent that. We haven't received any input from any of those jurisdictions. The second step is to conduct a public hearing regarding the route. So that's what we're here tonight. So I recommend that you open the public hearing to receive any feedback regarding designating Loop 286 around Paris as a hazardous cargo route.
Is that 286 all the way around Paris, or is that just coming through the west? Or?
Yes, currently we're proposing all the way around the loop. So if you're traveling through Paris, you hit the loop and you go whichever route is most convenient for your destination. Again, we're trying to just keep it out of town, out to the outskirts of town.
I have a question. I'm sure there would be adequate signage that would be erected. Would this be enforced real strictly, at least for a short time till the message is out? Oh, you get a ticket if you go through downtown. Chief?
Certainly, I certainly hope so. About the signage, that's a great point. We actually want to improve some of our no-through truck signage anyway. We're looking at some larger signs. We have signs that say that no through trucks, keep to the loop, but they're smaller, and these hazardous cargo signs would be on larger signs, more visible, and they would have an HC plaque that basically designates that loop as that route. So I can't speak to enforcement, but I know that Chief Hunley will do whatever is needed to keep those trucks out of town. So with that, we need a public hearing on this.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Public hearing now open for this item number 11. No one? Okay. Public hearing is now closed. Number 12, discuss and award a bid for reconstruction of portions of South Collegiate 33rd Southeast and Graham Street to Richard Drake Construction in the amount not to exceed $920,000.
Okay, our 2017 bond program includes funding for South Collegiate, 33rd Southeast, and Graham Street. On May 17th, we conducted a bid opening. We had 6 bidders. We also offered online bidding, but we didn't receive any. But we had 6 qualified bids. It was a competitive bid, and Richard Drake had the lowest bid in the amount of $844,302.04. We're looking to start this and hopefully complete this project in the 90 days over the warm weather months. So with that, I'd recommend approval of Richard Drake Construction for an amount not to exceed $920,000. Excuse me.
All right, I'll take a motion on that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All opposed? Item number 13, receive presentation from Main Street Advisory Board and complete improvements downtown and a 2018 plan of work.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you again for letting us come and present what we've been doing for the past 6 months. I see some new faces up here. There's plenty of people in the gallery that could stand up and show some support if you don't mind. Thanks, Gary and Glee. Glee is the chair of the Main Street Advisory Board, and we're just going to go through some stuff that has been happening for the past 6 months.
And let me interrupt you just real quick for you new council members. This is Sherry Bedford. Sherry, in case you don't know, is our Main Street coordinator. Almost everybody knows Sherry, but just in case.
Yeah. Yay. So here's some more support for us in downtown. Used to using a mouse, so let me go through this like this. So we were recognized as a national Main Street city. We follow a work plan, and we have to meet 10 special criteria to be designated as a nationally accredited program. The 10 steps we have to follow are a broad-based support. That means that more than just downtown people are supporting our program, and we were able to show that we have support throughout the community. We have a statement of purpose. We do have a mission and vision statement. I'll get to that in a minute. We have a work plan that we have on our website, parismainstreet.org, or you can also access that through the city website, paristexas.gov. We have a historic preservation ethic and ordinance. We have an active board, probably one of the most active boards that there is. I'm bragging a little bit, but they put hundreds of volunteer hours in, even thousands throughout the year. We have a budget and a staff and training. I will say that we received a certified local government grant to send some of our board members to training, so we're very excited about that. They'll be going to Des Moines the end of July. Glee right here serves as our Historic Preservation Commission liaison. On the screen, you'll see that this is in our ordinance as what the Main Street Board is supposed to do for you, and we do take this serious. So in our work plan, one of our goals was to bring more art into downtown, and the last time we presented, we had this on the calendar to repaint the mural by the Market Square, and we commissioned it to Lena Spencer, our own artist here in town, and she paid it forward and got some students involved. Very excited about that. Here's our mission and vision statement and the completed mural, and those cute little kids are my grandkids at the bottom. You'll see them featured throughout this presentation. But we do have a mission and a vision statement that we look at every time we meet at the board. Our vision is that our community will have an economically diverse and thriving downtown area that is a destination for the locals and visitors. And the mission of the board is the Main Street program will inspire and energize a vibrant downtown community as the social, cultural, economic, and historic heart of the great city. We do downtown. Here's a couple of people that have purchased some historic homes and some historic buildings. This one was actually sold to a couple from Houston, and they're very excited to renovate this and make it their living space. And they have great big plans for some of the bottom spaces. And right now in downtown, a roof is being installed on that building. Here's some things that happen in downtown. I know you guys are very familiar with things happening downtown at your downtown, but I take pictures because you need proof that it's really happening. And I think pictures say 1,000 words. So these are the kind of things that happen organically. I have nothing to do with that. Just people love downtown. They come downtown. You may see somebody in there you know. So I got a call one day, and it said, "Are you enforcing child labor on the plaza?" And I said, no, I'm not, I promise. And it was these students, and they were the North Lamar Future Farmers of America. They had a plant sale, and we need plants in downtown. And so I went over there and talked to them about purchasing some plants from them, and they made an agreement with me that they would come down and plant them. So we had a real win situation here where we were able to help some students They get to go on trips, and this will help just incentivize their trips, and then it also helped us get people involved in downtown, so we were happy to do that. The Main Street Board hosted breakfast chats every, I think it was like Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. We had 9 webinars that we watched, and here's the list of what we showed. We had about 20 to 25 people come to these breakfast chats and try to help downtown businesses and building owners. And we actually found out that there were people that were very interested in these coming from other towns, because what we were doing here was helpful for our downtown. And so we had an ad from the Paris News saying, hey, Main Street's doing this, and some other people picked up on it. So I think this has been inspiring our downtown and other people in the community, these breakfast chats, and getting people excited about downtown. We saw some impact of our breakfast chats. One of the breakfast chats was on curb appeal and how that impacts your business. And so we learned a rule about 70% of first-time sales are a result of curb appeal. And so what I'm showing you is we showed this particular slide after our webinar and said, hey, we can't tell anything's going on down this, what is this, Bonham Street. And we're like, see that little tiny blue dot down there is supposed to be a sign that's supposed to get people's attention as they drive down Bonham. And you know, if you've been down, as soon as you leave the plaza, you step on the gas to get to 7th Street. Okay, it just happens. And so anyway, these businesses here are trying to get a little bit of attention. So they've added some flowers, and that was a result of their training. I'm also responsible for the Historic Preservation Commission as the staff liaison for them. So we reviewed certificates of appropriateness. And if you're unfamiliar with a certificate of appropriateness, if a change is happening in downtown to one of our landmark structures, we keep a record of it through a certificate of appropriateness. So if I own a downtown building and I want to make a change, I will fill out a form and bring it to Sherry, and I will either approve those changes in-house based on what the changes are, very simple changes like the roof, for example, over at 127 Lamar. They can get that done, but without coming to the Historic Preservation Commission. But if there is a change that's going to be made to a historic structure that's a little bit larger, like I need to make an addition or change the windows, then those come to our Historic Preservation Commission for approval. And so I have approved 21 minor certificates of appropriateness this year, and the commission has reviewed 5. Here's some of the improvements that they've reviewed. We've seen this one on Grand Avenue happening. You can see the 1984 survey picture. Then you can see what this building 215 looked like the first of the year, and then you can see the improvements since then. And we're almost finished with this project. This is a new business that's coming to downtown, 1984, and they had some down here at the bottom right of the black and white or bottom left of the black and white picture. They have some like metal doors there, and they've made an improvement that actually matches the building there on the right. Moffitt Financial, they received a design rendering from the Texas Main Street program. They looked at their building one day and said, we want to make it really nice and kind of respect the historical integrity of this structure that used to be. Well, when it was first made, it was actually a retail business, and then it turned into a theater, and now it's going to be this newly restored facade on the front. We've given grants away. We're super excited about Carrie Daniel is standing here with me. They did an amazing job restoring the back of their building. And so they got some new windows, and we were able to incentivize them with facade grants. And so you need to drive by and look at the back of their building. It looks really good. And then we had Chris Dukes, who is our commissioner, but he has also been improving one of his downtown buildings, and he's received some grants. And there's his before and after. He's done a lot of work on this building. He took that yellow paint off and restored the brick and then added these windows to it, and it looks really good. We also approved a grant this year for the Paris Community Theater, and they were so excited. They wrote us a thank you note. It made us all happy. And so I want to shift over to Glee for just a second.
The Paris Downtown Association decided since Cinco de Mayo came on a Saturday this year, we would celebrate. And so we had an art walk. And we had about 11 businesses that were open for business after hours from 6 to 8. And we served beverages, both adult and non-adult, and snacks. And in fact, we even have one in our presence. We have a weaver who was featured at one of the stores. And we've had artists, we had photographers, and we had a whole lot of fun. So we closed the first street, and we had a little party after the party. So we're trying to incentivize downtown after hours.
We recently hosted a tour of historic properties that are vacant and underutilized, and then those that are for sale and for lease, and somebody that has done a renovation that could show off a little bit, Carrie again, Spotlight. They just remodeled their upper floor and have an Airbnb in there, and then how to talk to, or how to find out what a downtown business startup is like. We hosted that with the new store over here, the South Main Iron. And so we opened up vacant and underutilized properties. And while I'm thinking about it, I do want to highlight the fact that we have a link to a state network where we do showcase all of vacant and underutilized properties. It's the downtowntx.org. If you're interested in buying a downtown property, you can go to that link and find out what's for sale. And on that link, it has a lot of history about our downtown and about each building in particular. And then it will tell you the sale price or just tell you some history. But we've had people call us and find out about our incentives. I can point them directly to that. It's very helpful. I'm also responsible for Market Square and got a lot of partnerships with that. We've expanded. The vendors there has just been coming out the seams so much that we actually put them in the parking lot. And so we've had 40 vendors on opening day, and it was a great way to start the season. Lots of activities going on down there. I'm super pumped about some of the partnerships with the city. If you have not been down that way, you should check it out. The Parks Department was able to repurpose some of our playground equipment from Wade and Oak and put it down there by the skate park, and kids are utilizing it. And the library has hosted a couple of reading fun for some of our participants at the farmers market, the kids and there's some of our cute kids. See that middle grassy spot is where people hang out when they're down at the market. And we've added a couple of play structures there, so the kids are using them. One of them's a real organic rock, and the kids love to climb on that. And then this is some of the things you might see at the farmers market any given Saturday. We hosted the Paris, Texas Wine Fest this year and raised $15,240 for downtown improvements. In one event, we're very excited that we know that event brought people from out of town. We kept track of who came, and it's pretty important to know that if you do an event that you're bringing visitors to your town. And we counted, we had over 85 people come out from outside the 754 zip code area. We're getting close to the end. These are just some of the events that we've had in downtown. And now our hurdles, we did address some hurdles last time we were here, and we would like to give you an update on that.
You see our cute little guy here? Unless somebody like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So that's Dr. Seuss. We have some hurdles, and we spotlighted them last year, at our last report. One of the hurdles was that absentee property owners who are not vested in our town effort impact the rest of us. And so thank you so much, Mr. Godwin. My hat is off to you because you proceeded to bring us up to the vacant property ordinance, and that is showing some impact in what's going on downtown. In fact, my next door neighbor, next to my shop, is looking into some improvements there. So we're shaking the trees. So with storage in the buildings, there is no longer a use for central district buildings. There will be you already have storage in a building you own. That's fine. But if you buy a new building or rent a new building. You cannot use storage for downtown. It impacts the rest of us. There are not enough businesses that are open till past 6 o'clock at night, and that was one of the things that was brought out in the webinars, and we are working on that. I know one of the businesses downtown has cooking classes on Thursday night, and so we're trying to do that. There's some other things, projects that are out there that we're trying to get going for that. We need to have a safer environment for people to come downtown, so they'll have a reason to come downtown and they'll feel safe to bring their families downtown. And the webinars have got everybody excited, got me excited, got everybody I know excited, and we have a visionary group coming called the Tool Design Firm, and my hope and prayer is that this is where we're going to get some action from that. We're going to study Paris and see what we can do to make it a safe environment for everyone. Is that good enough? Yeah.
Okay, last slide. Okay, so most of these people, we realize we're not there yet, but we want to get there, and we know that it's not about what it is, what it's about to become. And like Lee said, the Tool Design Firm has got a lot of people excited. We're excited about it. Thank you for having them come. And there is a lot of potential in downtown Paris, and people are behind it, and it's not just the people in downtown. And we will support you, and we appreciate your support. Do you guys have any questions?
I think you're doing a good job. Stay with it.
Thank you.
I second that. This is really good stuff.
All right.
Yes, I have one.
Sure.
Once again, y'all are doing a wonderful job. I know it's very time consuming. Like you said, y'all are putting in a lot of hours of labor. One comment is about the picture of the first slide you showed with the picture with your children on it. Grandchildren?
My grandchildren.
Grandchildren, I'm
yes,
sorry.
sir.
I mean, Paris has a unfortunate reputation of somewhat racism because of different things, and that portrait with cotton and the cotton fields, I mean, some people might look at that differently. I mean, cotton
Really?
is for reputation is good for others and is a nightmare for some.
Really?
So if I mean, when your vision statement had diversity in it, that's one of the things that be more cognizant of. Some people might look at that like, okay, they're still in that same old era.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. But other than that, y'all, it was great. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Anyone else? Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Item number 14. Discuss and act on an ordinance adopting the 2009 design standards for historic districts.
Very quickly, Mayor and Council, this is we've been using these design standards to help make decisions and give advice and direction to redevelopers for a number of years. It was never been uniformly adopted as part of our ordinance. Our different 17 or so, or 21 or 104, whatever historic districts we have. In a couple of those ordinances, it was included, but it was not uniformly included. And so in order to be able to enforce this, this ordinance, if passed this evening, will make it enforceable as an ordinance as opposed to just a guideline.
Anyone have any questions?
Has this ordinance been put out on the public record where people know that we're voting on it? Because I had a call a couple weeks ago from a concerned citizen on there was an insurance ordinance I think they did in April before we were elected, and it was I think about $1 million liability they had to carry on historic buildings. Is that correct?
That's on vacant. That's part of the vacant building ordinance.
Vacant building, okay.
Right, only vacant buildings.
I agree with the standards. I think we need to have standards on all of them. Do we need to have, though, where the public knows that we're fixing to put this in, because there could be some surprises for some people, and I want everybody's opinion to be heard if there's some kind of.
Sure. Ordinances are advertised. Of course, they're posted on the public agenda, typically on Thursdays, but at least on Friday. So we could post it a second time if you want to delay it, but that's the way.
It has been posted, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It has to be by law.
I'm
yeah,
fine as long
absolutely.
as it's been, yeah.
I'm the liaison for the Historic Preservation Commission, and they've worked on this for a long time. And
Yeah,
they
that looks
have kind
great.
of, sort of looked at what the design standards are and what people are requesting of them in our town. And this is just going to kind of make it a little more user-friendly for
Okay.
people who are trying to replace windows and that kind of thing.
I agree.
The more
I-
specific hard.
I'll go ahead and tell you, I think a lot of we need to have, we don't need a nice business and then next door we have a storage building with windows broke out. That doesn't help like they were talking, the neighbors. I just wanted to make sure that the public, we'd had some kind of
Yes, sir.
advertise. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
good.
And I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All opposed? Item number 16, receive and discuss annual department reports from Public Works, Engineering, Utilities, and Finance.
Each year, we begin our budget process, kind of a review of the year, and then also what our priorities are for the coming year. This is the first of those. We'll have those 4 departments this evening, starting with Doug Harris, our Director of Utilities, and then we'll have 4 more departments we'll report to you at your next council meeting. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Harris.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, I appreciate the opportunity to provide an annual report on the activities of the Department of Utilities. So, in essence, I'm going to briefly tell you where we've been, where we're at, and where we plan on going. All right? So, starting with where we've been, those of you who were on the council last year, I had identified that we had a major project going on at our ground storage water facility. That was essentially rebuilding 4 pumps at that facility, and that project, I'm happy to say, is now complete. One of the other major projects for water production was electrical and valve replacement of our water transfer pumps at the water treatment plant. That was a major project. That, I'm also happy to report, is complete. We just finished resurfacing our 500,000 gallon water storage clear well, and for Mr. Hughes and Ms. Stone and Mr. Pilgrim, when you came out a couple of weeks ago, that facility was there at the water treatment plant. And again, I'll add right now that we're pleased that you took the time to come out and visit with us. Another project that we have completed, or actually this one is where we're at, this is ongoing, is repainting of our sedimentation basin structures at the water treatment plant. And also, within the past couple of months, City Council was gracious enough to allow us to award the bid for the Headworks bar screen project. That's where we're at right now. That project, the contractor actually mobilized today, and we anticipate completion of that project by January of next year. Now, some of the projects that we anticipate going on for the fiscal year 18-19. And again, for the council members that came on the tour a couple of weeks ago, this is going to be kind of a rerun of what you heard me say then, but for the benefit of the entire council, I'm going to go ahead and repeat that. One of the major projects for the water treatment plant is installation of VFDs at our Pat Mays intake structure. And let me explain what a VFD is. That stands for Variable Frequency Drive. We have 4 pumps at our intake structure at Pat Mays. Installation of this component on those pumps will essentially allow us to draw more water to provide to the public. So that's a major project that we really encourage the council to include in our budget next year. Another project at the water treatment plant itself is replacement of sludge disposal pumps. We have a lot of equipment in both the water plant, the wastewater plant, and our lift station facilities. These things get old and they wear out, okay? So the sludge disposal pumps are just an essential component that we need to take care of in the next budget year. As I just alluded to a few moments ago, we anticipate completion of the Headworks bar screen facility at our Flow EQ basin. And the major project for the wastewater treatment plant is purchase and installation of a belt filter press. Now, the reason that that is necessary for our process is it gives us a more reliable means to handle our biosolids material, our sludge material, which is just a natural byproduct of the wastewater treatment plant process. Right now, we are leasing land application site, and purchase and installation of this component, this belt filter press, will give us a more reliable means of handling our sludge at the wastewater treatment plant. I want to close by saying that you all should be very confident in the staff that I work with, that I'm fortunate enough to work with at the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, and the lift stations. They're dedicated, they're hardworking, and you should be able to sleep much better at night knowing that these folks are working on your behalf. So I'll entertain any questions that any of you may have. All right. Thank you again.
And next up will be Finance with Gene Anderson. Thank you, Doug.
Evening, Councilman. I'll just take a few minutes to go over the three departments that are related to the Finance Department. First one's the warehouse, especially for you new council members. It's a small staff, only 2 employees involved there. It's located at 165 West Center Street. Has an inventory that ranges between $200,000 and $300,000 depending on the time of the year and what projects that we've got going on. It does provide centralized purchasing to the extent that that's feasible for us to do so, but it's mostly water and sewer related things. Our goals and priorities for the coming year, we'd like to have an above ground fueling station located there with the associated fleet management software. Fuel is critical to our everyday operations, but it's even more critical during emergency situations. And so we'd like to have something based there that's really under our control. We also need the ability to critically analyze our consumption patterns and try to make improvements in that regard as well. And then another thing that we'd like to accomplish is putting an all-weather surface loading and unloading zone there. Currently, what's there is, it's basically gravel and it develops potholes and stuff, and we're concerned that sometimes when we're loading and unloading heavy pallets of parts and equipment with the forklift that we might either drop that or possibly turn the forklift over. So we would like to get that all-weather surface there and avoid that problem. Our most recent major accomplishment is the installation of our electronic inventory system and perfecting that, working all the bugs out of it, and that's gone very well. Next is our utility billing office. It has 8 employees located directly across the street here. They service about 9,800 accounts every month, and they process over $14 million worth of revenue each year. Our primary goal that we have for the utility billing office is to complete our radio read project. We were about 1/4 of the way through that of our 9,800 meters. And what radio read is, it's basically electronic reading of meters, so you don't have to send somebody out there to physically take a reading, but you send a signal out to it. It sends the signal back and gives us the reading and other consumption data. It also allows us, besides not having to send somebody out there, it stores some history of the consumption there. So if that customer has a problem, water leak or something like that, that we'll be able to tell them when that developed and how big it is. And oftentimes a leak is not necessarily visible on site. So we would like to finish that project, and that's our priority, is to have continued funding for that. And we're just doing that step at a time rather than doing it all at once. But if you wanted to give me $1.7 million or so, I'll go ahead and finish it this next year in its entirety, but otherwise, we're just going to take a bite out of it every year until we get there. The finance office has 5 employees, and of course, we do what you'd think we do. We maintain all the accounting records and do all the financial reporting for the city. We account for over $40 million or so normally every year coming in and going out. In terms of recent accomplishments, we earned the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 22nd consecutive year. What makes that important is when we do bond issues, like we've done a lot of here lately, to have that certificate helps with our credit rating. And it makes them, know that when they're looking at our financial statements, that they're done in a way that they can have confidence in them. Second thing that we did this year is we converted the fire department from a 28-day cycle to a 14-day pay cycle, and that went very well. And then, of course, I've already mentioned the successful bond issues that we've done here recently. We were heavily involved in preparing the official financial statements for those and obtaining the credit rating for those. And I can say that our credit rating currently is the highest it's been in the 30-something years that I've been here, and so I'm very proud of the job that the council has allowed us to do in that regard. In terms of items that I would like to accomplish in the upcoming year, we have some exterior renovation that needs to be done here in the City Hall building. We have some cracks in the walls and stuff. In fact, if you go to the front of City Hall and look up at the top, you can see very easily there the cracks that are there, and when it rains, it's letting water in, not from the roof, but from the sides of the building. If you go into the conference room down the hall from the city manager's office, you can see where that water is penetrated. That's an easy place to see that. It doesn't do us any good to fix it on the inside until we fix it on the outside. And so we're going to be looking at trying to bring something forward to do that. We'd also like to update the city's pay scale. I know you've heard in years past from the police department, the fire department, and others about trying to retain people and the problem we have with turnover. Well, that's true in every department, not just in emergency services. And so I would encourage us to try to address that to the extent that we can. And also, thirdly, and I think this is a very important one, is I would like to see us increase our contributions to the fire pension fund by 2%, raising it from 12% to 14%. The financial integrity of the fire pension fund is very important to the city. It's one of the things that helps keep our firemen here. And also, the city has, if we allowed it to deteriorate and get into financial trouble, then the city is going to have some liability to get it out of trouble if it ever gets there. It's less expensive, more practical, more beneficial for us to address this now and to keep it from getting into poor financial shape. I would like to say I'd like to see the city increase its contribution by 2%. The firefighters themselves are considering voting on contributing another 1% themselves in addition to what they already contribute. And those are the things I think that are most important for us, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have about that.
Thank you, James. Carla Easton, City Engineer, Community Development.
Thank you. The Community Development Engineering Department has several upcoming projects we're preparing for. One of those is the Tool Design Group downtown visioning plan that you've heard about tonight, as well as the last council meeting. They're planning on being here the week of June 25th to perform the first part of that charrette process, and then they'll be back mid-August for the second part, and then we hope to have a summary report in August, early September, with their findings. So that's an exciting plan underway. That project is funded primarily by private donations, but the city contributed $10,000 towards that effort. Also in downtown, we'll apply for another grant through the CDBG Main Street program. That's a program that replaces broken sidewalks in the downtown areas. They have increased the amount of that grant, so we are available to apply for a $250,000 grant with a 30% city match. And you'll see the matching funds in the community development grant budget this year. I wanted to mention and discuss the need for additional staffing in the community development department. Several years ago, the chief building official position was vacated but was never filled, and that's a position that is important for the community to have somebody that's kind of the code expert, and there is a need there. A trained building official would be able to improve our effectiveness for code compliance. So that's not a budgeted position for this year, but I wanted to mention it as a need, so hopefully we can fill that in a future year. And lastly, I wanted to talk about some of our ongoing and planned construction projects. The Package 4 utility project, which is the big utility project all over town, is underway, and it's active along the Northeast Loop, Clarksville Street, 6 Southeast, and then we just started on North Main, which is the downtown project, essentially, and that's planned to take 10 to 12 months. We've also got other projects that are underway under the utility bond include the Southeast Lift Station replacement and Paradise Estates Sewer project, and most of those utility projects are managed and inspected through Public Works under Jerry, but I'm giving you the summary under our department tonight. And then over the past year, under the street program, we completed 4 streets last year. They included East Cherry, East 3rd, 7th Northwest, and 7th Southwest. And then this year, we have 3 more coming up. That contract was approved tonight on 33rd Southeast, South Collegiate, and Graham Streets. And we also have the Church Street project that's out for bid, and it'll be, the bid for that will be this Thursday. So that'll be a full reconstruction of Church Street coming up this year. And then under design, we've got 17th Southeast and 24th Street Southeast coming later this year. We'll be ready to bid those out later this year. So that's really my update and what the engineering community development is up to. I'd be happy to answer any questions or provide any information that you might need. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. And last will be Jerry McDaniel, our Public Works Director.
Good afternoon. Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Welcome to Public Works. Just kind of want to touch base about some things we've done, some things we're in process of doing, and hopefully things for in the future. Of course, we're going to operate, of course, you'll see the budget. It'll be basically a flat budget. But the first thing I want to talk about is our turnover and our inability to attract the new employees. And a lot of that is due to our pay. Hiring and retaining points for maintenance in all the public works departments. Would like to be look at that and see if we can get that raised somehow. Most people that are looking for a job have applied at our other businesses here in town who pay more money. Once we get them started, they get a call from someone else, they can make more money. They've got to take care of their families, and we understand that. So we've got a big turnover. Currently, that we probably have anywhere from 2 to 4 vacancies in every one of our departments. We get them, we lose them. And in that process, too, we require CDL driver's license. So we train them, we get them the license, and guess what? They can start driving those trucks and making a lot more money. So it's just an ongoing turnover that we'd like to. I don't know how we'll fix it, but maybe we can work on it.
Jerry, let me interrupt you real quickly. If you would, tell the council and the folks here what your specific divisions are within your department.
Okay. I have streets, sewer, collection, water distribution, traffic, sanitation, parks, right-of-way, and the garage. I think, yeah. So we basically we try to manage all of that with 67 employees, give or take a few. But like I say, we're short in every one of them. But we're still working, and we're going to do it. First off, too, I'd like to tell you I'm proud of the Public Works employees. It takes a special person, a special team of people to do what we do. It's hot weather, it's cold weather, it's raining, it's snowing. There's you got employees in ditches full of sewer water. You've got trash collectors that are dumping people's trash that have needles and bacteria. I mean, it's just they're on call. It's after hours. It's sometimes all night long to keep your water flowing. Doug produces it. We keep it going and try to get it back to the sewer plant for them. So I'm proud of these guys and gals. The ladies in our office, they work great. They gather information from the public and give them, try to help them in any way they can and get it back to us so that we can do the citizens and serve them right. My second deal is equipment. Heavy equipment plays a big role in what we do every day. You see our big equipment out here, the backhoes, the trackhoes, the dump trucks, the motor graders, the grade alls. I mean, it takes all of that to get the things done that we do. The mowers, the shredders, I mean, the whole thing. An example is a motor grader. We've got, you'll see in the budget, hopefully, to replace one of our motor graders. We have two motor graders. One's a 86, the other one is a 87 model. Under constant repair. When we go to get parts for them, we can't go to the Cat dealership. We have to go to the vintage parts and equipment house to get this stuff. But our guys, I mean, baling wire and weld and bubble gun, I mean, they keep them going and do a great job with that, and we keep going. So our equipment just, and the replacement of these things every year. I mean, they get old, you got to replace them and just keep them rolling. So as years go on, you'll see the different pieces of equipment come up and requests for replacements and that type of thing. Third thing is our parks. As y'all know, our parks development is going on. We're very proud of our parks development. Our parks group has worked real hard in categorizing all the different things that we're going to do in the different parks. We're trying our very best to follow, the master parks plan, which was updated just recently. Oak and Wade Park has been replaced and updated, and the kids are out there, and we love it. I mean, it's really, really great. All of this was done by bond money. For the first half of that, the second half of this, we actually have, I think there's Farmers Market, Sports Complex, Lake Crook. We need more programming in Paris. So that next amount of bond money, we're applying for grants, different things to grow this money and maybe do more. And of course, we still welcome any donations that we can get. So thank you very much. Our event center, we acquired the event center from the Red River Fairgrounds really about 3 years ago. We accepted this old bingo hall and had to update a lot of the HVAC equipment. We had to strip the floors to try to clean it up, paint the walls. We've done a lot of things. We're currently looking at going ahead and sealing and painting the exterior brick to try to clean that thing up and make it more inviting. We do rent it for all kinds of events, from birthday parties, Christmas parties, weddings, graduation parties, etc. We're trying to increase our stuff for senior citizens in Paris to do as well, which Ms. Stone's kind of going to help us do some things on this too. And what we do is we're open it every other Wednesday. Tomorrow, this Wednesday we'll be open. It's in the afternoon from 1 to closing time, 5 o'clock if need be. We'll stay as long as they're there. Play dominoes, cards. We've got cornhole, ping pong table, and free refreshments. So we're trying to give them a place to go, get out of the heat, get out of the weather, get out of the house, stay healthy. We've actually did our first scrapbooking, which they call it crop now. Event was held last month, and it was received so well that they have now scheduled, and we've got another one coming up September 21st over there. So we're trying to utilize this. So any ideas you guys have and participation, we really enjoy doing this. Okay, drainage. Remember the big rain last week? No. Over the last 2 years, we have, several years, but the last 2 years, 2.5 years, we had the funding to come in. The council had, and we did a lot of dredging, reshaping, cleaning, grubbing, installing erosion control. Probably not enough of that. When you get rains, you got washouts, and you work hard trying to get that stuff done. We currently are working. We've got a drainage crew, basically following up everything we've done, just trying to maintain what we've done. That's a battle in itself as well. So we're just trying to keep that going, and also, priorities come in, and you've got to attack those before they become a problem. So we're working on drainage. There is a need for a lot more, and hopefully some time and support for those. Our next thing that I'd like to talk about is our city pool. We open our city pool every Memorial Day, and it runs through Labor Day. The pool provides employment for 24 parish youths. Most of them are from parish through the summer months. Along with the operation, of course, comes maintenance. This year we've spent $30,000 on a filter, $6,000 on a pump replacement. We were able to save a few of those dollars by the city employees installing that filter. It was an astronomical cost that we got a bid on, so we did it ourselves. Saved a few dollars, and that allowed us to put another $7,000 toward the skimmer grates, which is the fiberglass covers on the edge where the water flows over and it's getting people. We're asking for some more money because the pool interior needs to be resurfaced as well, so you'll see that. And I guess that just basically concludes my generalization of our annual report. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry.
Sit on that.
That's it.
All right. Item number 17, discuss and act on an ordinance amending section 34-22B, water rates, section 3423A, B, and C, sewer rates to reflect changes recommended by the 2018 Water and Sewer Rate Study. Mr. Jean.
Council, the city has water contracts with 4 major industries here, and all of those contracts require us to have a cost of service rate study done by an independent firm each year. And the results of that study is what determines what their rates are for the next year. But a byproduct of that study, we also know what the rates need to be for all the other customers, residential, commercial, and industries that are smaller than the 4 that we have contracts with. The 2018 study's been completed, and contract rates were determined, and they went into effect June the 1st for those industries that have contracts. But we have a representative from NewGen Strategies here tonight who's going to do a brief presentation on the other contract customers and rates, or not contract customers, but the other commercials, residential, commercial, and so forth. So, Chris?
Well, good evening. I'm Chris Eckert with NewGen Strategies and Solutions. It's a pleasure to be with you again this year. I will attempt to keep my presentation brief tonight. As Gene mentioned, we were retained to perform the annually required water and wastewater cost of service study. This is required per the contracts with the city's treated water customers. As Gene mentioned, their rates are set via this study. As a byproduct of that process, we do go in and also look at your retail rates, and that's what we're here to talk about tonight, is those retail rates and where they sit. For those of you that are new to this process, there's a bit of a timing differential between setting the contract rates and the retail rates. The contract rates are set looking back. We look back 1 year and set the rates based upon what actually happened. The retail customer rates are set going forward based upon what your adopted budget is. So there's a slight timing difference there when you're looking at the numbers. Also want to remind you, the last time retail rates were actually adjusted in the city was October 2014. That was the last time you had an increase in water and wastewater rates. There have been no action on retail rates since October 2014. As part of the study, one of the things that we look at and is very important for us is the city's rate maintenance policy. This was a policy that was established in 2010, and you heard Gene talk earlier about bond issuance. When you go to issue debt, you get a debt rating. And this rate maintenance policy is one of the critical elements that the rating agencies are looking at when they provide a rating. As Gene mentioned, you have an incredible credit rating right now, and I attribute part of that to be this policy right here. This policy was established again in 2010 and sets out key metrics that when we're testing your rates to make sure they're adequate, we have to make sure these metrics are met. I will say right now, the bottom 3 sub-bullet points here on the interest and sinking fund, the reserve fund, and the contingency fund, you meet all of those requirements right now, which is fantastic. The area that we're slightly short on right now is net utility revenues. When we look at how your current retail revenues are performing, they're slightly under. And so we are recommending a water and wastewater rate increase specific to your retail customers. And that's what we're going to talk about in these coming slides here. So what is driving the need for a rate increase? As we look at cost, water cost has actually gone down slightly since last year. So we haven't had a cost reduction, but we're going to talk about that doesn't necessarily mean a rate reduction. Wastewater has gone up in terms of cost. What's driving that is capital. We're spending a lot of money on pipes and pumps and all the things you've heard about tonight. All of that does drive up cost as we look forward. Again, we are satisfying the rate maintenance policy except for the net revenues requirement. So again, the retail rates, based on the rate maintenance policy, based on what we've seen in your cost, retail rates are insufficient. But you'll recall that I mentioned water costs went down. Well, why are water rates insufficient right now? You have a blessing in your industrial customers. They are a fantastic benefit to the city, both in terms of economic development and their contribution to water and wastewater revenues. But what we saw this year is your industrial customers, their consumption went down. You actually had one industrial customer whose water consumption went down 41%. Some significant reductions in water use by your industries. As you may know, water and wastewater utilities are very fixed cost intensive. Once you build a pipe, once you build a pump, you have to maintain it. You can't go in and shrink the pipes or get rid of plant once you've built it just because it's not being used, just because there's excess capacity there. That still has to be maintained even when consumption goes down. And so what we've seen, because your industries have backed off on their water use, they're not contributing as much to the system, what that means is those fixed costs have to be covered by your retail customers. And so that's what we've seen in the current year. So what we are recommending, these are the rates we're recommending. We're presenting to you two different scenarios. One increases the fixed charge or the base charge of the bill a little less than the second scenario. After we go through and adjust that fixed charge, the volumetric rate, the two-part rate here on water is really a fallout. So you can go up a little more on the base charge, a little less on the volumetric rate, but we've presented two scenarios for you to look at, and we're going to talk about what this means to the average customer here in just a moment. So this slide presents our recommended water rates. This slide presents our recommended wastewater rates. Again, slight increase in the base charge, either scenario 1 or scenario 2, as well as an increase on the volumetric side. We've done the same thing for commercial rates. Again, your commercial customers, they're charged differently by meter size. So you've got a base charge that escalates based on the size of the meter, but also the size of the meter dictates the volumetric water rate as well. So that's commercial water. This is commercial wastewater. Again, increases. Scenario 1 is a smaller increase to the base charge. Scenario 2 is a larger increase to the base charge. So what does this mean to your customers? So taking a 2,000-gallon customer, this is going to be a lower volume user, possibly a single person in a home using a smaller amount of water. The combined monthly bill increase, water and wastewater, under scenario 1, the monthly increase would be $1.23. For scenario 2, it would be $1.61. Looking at a 5,000-gallon customer, this is going to be more of your single-family home, your single-family user. We're looking at a monthly combined increase, water and wastewater both, total increase of $4.38 under scenario 1 or $4.33 under scenario 2. When we look at a 10,000-gallon customer, this is going to be a larger user, somebody that has a larger house, has more people, more fixtures in their house. Right now they pay $121.18 a month. We're proposing to take that under scenario 1, an increase of $968 a month. Under scenario 2, an increase of $889 a month. Again, these rates have not changed since October 2014. We've gone a long time since we've needed a rate increase. One of the things I'm asked every year is how do we compare when we look at our neighbors? And so I do want to caution you, as you look at this chart, this is not an apples-to-apples comparison. Every city is different. Every city has different water treatment processes. They have different water sources. They have different ways of treating wastewater. They have different ways of funding the utility. And so when you look at this is not apples to apples. So at the end of the day, you have to set rates necessary to meet your needs regardless of what other cities in the state are doing. That being said, we have prepared this comparison. This is based on data that's compiled by the Texas Municipal League. And you can see right now a 5,000-gallon customer, again, we're talking about that family customer, on a monthly basis for water and wastewater pays about $63.50. Scenario 1 that we're proposing would take that to $67.88. Scenario 2, slightly less to $67.83 on a combined water and wastewater basis. You do move slightly up in this comparison with this increase. However, cities are looking at this all the time as they go through the budget process, as they see what their needs are. So we could take this same snapshot here in 3 to 6 months, and it could look completely different. So I do want to caution you, never set rates on a regional comparison, but it is helpful to look at. So with that being said, are there any questions I can answer?
I have a question. You said something about costs. Some of the increases as a result of the new water lines and sewer lines that are being put in.
Yes, costs are driven significantly by capital investment is what I'm referring to there. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So wouldn't any of that be offset by the bond election that we had?
Yes, it is offset by the bond election. Ultimately, the bond election is not what is driving the increase in cost. It's some of those minor cash capital items that we're seeing, small valves, things of that nature. They're smaller capital items that are not funded as bond projects.
Could that be costs of goods just going up? Valves are cost more money than
It
they
can be
did
the cost
5
of
years ago, or-
chemicals, electricity. It can be any of those items. Yes, sir. It's across the board.
Are we looking at the rate increase would be effective October 1st?
Gene, you want to?
The ordinance that you have in front of you has it start with July consumption. It would be August billing for that, and that's normally how it's done. Back in 2014, the council opted to delay it till October. That delay cost us about $100,000 when they did that, so I don't recommend that. But, you know, it's council's ultimate decision on when it goes into effect.
Thank you.
Gene, I guess, what's the downside if we don't approve it?
Well, the downside is we start losing money. We get to the point where, you know, our financial integrity is going to be compromised. We had a council back probably 14, 15 years ago in that range that absolutely refused to go up on rates. And they did that for year after year after year, 3 or 4 years in a row. And we were almost $2 million in the red in that water and sewer utility fund before all of them kind of rotated off, and we got a council who was willing to go back in and do what needed to be done. So it's disastrous financially for you not to kind of keep up with it as it's needed. And like I say, we don't recommend an increase just arbitrarily. That's why we hadn't had one in 4 years. And if you kind of spread this over 4 years, it's, you know, really not very much at all. And we always try to operate within our means and cut costs. And like Chris said, our water operating costs have actually gone down some. So we're always looking to operate efficiently. But we're bringing this to you because it needs to be done, in my opinion.
So he said one of our contractors used 41% less water this round. Is
One of your contract customers.
customers? That's what I'm saying. Yes, sir.
So this is one of your industrial customers use less.
So are they on pace to stay at the rate that, I mean, now are they going to continue to go down in their water usage?
We have seen a long-term trend with your contract customers using less water. They are becoming more efficient. They are becoming more efficient users of water. To them, it is a cost that is going into their product. And so it's in their best interest to see where they can realize efficiencies. We would love to see them use more water long-term, ideally. But again, that is a long-term trend that has been decreasing. That can be driven year to year by economic conditions and their different what they're producing, so I can't tell you definitively what they're going to do next year. Hopefully it goes up, but I can't say that.
I mean, but they dropped 41% in 1 year?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They dropped 41% in 1 year.
Is this just water usage? Does this include the sewer usage? Does this also include trash pickup? Or are we going to be asked to look at maybe increasing those other areas as well?
Well, he is talking about both water and wastewater.
Okay.
It does not include trash, and we do not have a trash collection rate planned.
Okay.
I believe last year, Mr. Eckert, who, by the way, his company is very well thought of and respected in the state of Texas for the water studies they do, but we were warned last year that it looked like one was coming down the pike.
Yes, ma'am. Good memory.
I remember that. I'm a big water user because of my lawn.
We'll blame your husband.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you. So I'll entertain, this is an act, right?
We do have the two options, and essentially, essentially the difference between those two options is, one, well, that's the wrong one. One of them puts more of a burden, so to speak, on the smaller user, the other one on the bigger user. In other words, the one, option one, makes it the base rate. Everybody has a base rate. And so assuming that you approve an ordinance, you need to indicate which of those two scenarios you prefer. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I would like to say that you can control to some extent the amount of water that you use and keep your bill as low as possible. I see people in Paris watering their lawns in the middle of the day, a windy day. You can just see the water evaporating up into the air. And many cities, and I don't think we need to do this, we have plenty of water, but many cities do limit the time of day that you can water and how often you can water. So I think we're privileged that our city has had forethought to plan and provide us with plenty of water, and we hope that that continues. But we have no way of knowing that it always will be there, and we do have to plan and not get in the red again. You know, things go up. Everything else has gone up. This hasn't for 4 years, so I think we're lucky there.
And this is not going to, are they going to change it on the industrial side, or this is just residential?
This is residential and commercial. The industrial users have a specific contract.
Okay.
And so theirs has already been determined, and it's in effect, I think, June 1st, right? So it's already in effect. And if you're looking for a suggestion from me, and you may or may not be, I would suggest scenario one. The reason for that is that the folks that are paying and this is a very overgeneralization, but you have a higher percentage of people in that category that are perhaps older, one person living in the home that are using less water and less sewer, and I would always suggest, where possible, we try to make the impact on those folks as low as possible.
Is it possible that we run something like this in the paper first, and then so the public will know what we're doing instead of us just jacking their water rate up without them having no idea it's coming?
Again, like any ordinance, this has been advertised, this was posted, and so forth and so on. So any ordinance that comes before you has been advertised by law in the paper, and so is the agenda posted. So you can always delay it and try to get more input, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that everybody's going to be opposed to it.
I'm not opposed.
I'm not opposed
we've got to.
I mean, if you want citizens' input, they're going to say,
"Hey,
no,
we've got to
thanks."
have sewer plants. We've got to have police stations. We've got to have it all." People get antsy. I've picked up my electric bill before when I lived in another town and had an increase, and you know, it was kind of a thorn. But I didn't read the newspaper. But I do think something like this, even though a small, I mean, you're talking $1 a month, $2, $3, or $5 a month for most of the people in Paris. However, $5 a month may, you know, increase some concern. You know, if I would say we run it a couple more weeks in the newspaper, and just say if there's anybody that say, I mean, I don't have any disagreements with it, but
What we could do, John, if you recall, we have a small area on the water bill itself where we can put a message. We can put a message on the water bill, and it'll hit everybody, whether they read the paper or not, you know, and that doesn't cost us anything to do. We can just.
I think whatever we put in there, though, it needs to say, hey, we need this, not we're going to increase your water bill, you know, and then everybody goes, well, I don't want that, you know, And,
Yeah, we'll follow up with that, and I suspect Mary certainly will run a story on this. Given that, I would suggest then at this point that you table this item to the June 25th council meeting for adoption at that time.
I'll make a motion to table it.
I second.
Okay, to a date specific,
To that specific date.
25th.
25th.
and we need to vote.
All in favor? All opposed?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 18, consider and approve future events for city council and city staff present to resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything? All right. 19, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.